The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss gardening regardless of your body size, as well as farmers markets, what to look for. And our guest is Margot Anne Kelley, author, will be with us, and will answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, whether you're listening to us on one of the 18 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2024, through a radio app, through our parent website, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Under the Season 8 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, in-studio video replay, however you're doing such, thank you so much. You want to be part of the program, you can do that by sending us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call toll-free anytime, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. You can leave a message if we can't get to you. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
All right, here's our joke. So I have a bird feeder in the garden.
Uh-huh.
You know, but it also doubles as a cat feeder as well.
Oh, okay.
I told you it wasn't good.
A little more morbid there.
Yeah. All right, well, our joke of the week is brought to you by Rescue. Rescue is American-made products. Keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests like insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jacket, flies, ants, and more. Find out more at rescue.com. That's rescue.com.
Gardening in your own body, gardening whatever, regardless of your size, is the first conversation of
It could
today.
be your size or your ability, whatever it may be.
Or lack of ability.
Yeah. So just a disclaimer. You might think, well, this doesn't apply to me. I'm healthy and I, blah, blah, blah. And I work out 10 times a week and da-da-da-da. But you never know. Your situation could change.
Or somebody.
Life is like that. So I just wanted to talk about this because I feel like it's a good segment to talk about and to consider. Maybe, you're struggling with it, or you get some ideas for the rest of the season or next year, whatever. So I think one of the biggest ones is people don't realize that you can bring the garden to you. So many people, when they think about a garden, they think about this backyard, in the ground garden. And they're like, I can't do that. Traditional. But there's a lot of options. You can do container gardening. You can put container gardening on stools or tables or pots or stack pots over. You can bring their height up. You can do elevated raised beds. That might be a little bit more of an investment, but it is a thing.
Well, here, you can grow pretty much, pick a number, 85% of things in a container that you could grow in the ground. There's certain things that it's a little more challenging to grow in a container than in the ground. But for the most part, large enough container on an elevated platform, you can go for it.
Right. So you can do a lot of stuff. Straw bales, you can grow in a straw bale, or you could stack straw bales. Mm-hmm. So there's an option there. Again, containers, pots, whatever you want to call them. Definitely you have options to make the garden more accessible, where you can reach it, you can get to it, whatever. You're like, my backyard, there's one part that's a patio and the good growing spot is way in the back. So you have options. You can, again, just consider where you want to put your garden. The other thing is you can sit on things, or you can use stools. There's like little garden carts that have seats on them. I've seen this like kneeling bench thing where it can be a bench and then it flips over to like a kneeler with a foam pad on it. If you maybe you have some mobility issues walking on uneven ground, get a cane or a hiking pole for that use to get out to the garden. There's a lot of
accessories,
assistant tools that you can utilize. You can get creative. Maybe you spend a lot of time in the park with your family or whoever. You can look for a nice stick, and that can be your, walking stick. So you don't even have to spend money. Buckets are nice. I like to sit on buckets, but for some people that might be uncomfortable. That's maybe not an option. But again, there's things. And also, maybe you're like, okay, this year, it's a wash, but in the holiday time or your birthday, things you can ask for, especially if you are a parent of adult children. I promise you, your adult children will be happy to purchase something that you tell them to purchase for you, because we're running out of ideas.
End of the season. I mean, we're in the middle of the season in most portions of the country. Middle, 3/4 of the way in, a lot of these, and even some of these smaller garden centers are trying to liquidate and get rid of their current year stuff, so they don't have to store it or whatever they need. That's where you start.
Yeah, you can start there. There's a lot of options.
You can buy it online on the big A website, but if you can just drive down the street and go to your local independent garden center, that probably is a better option.
Yeah. So then you also want to allow yourself to take breaks. I know a lot of us get in this mentality that once you start something, you have to go all the way through and you can't take any breaks and blah, blah, blah. Just say, I'm allowed to rest. I'm allowed to take breaks. I'm allowed to seek shade if I need to. Drink water. Maybe do this early in the morning or in the evening.
Do a little, but do it often.
Yeah. If you are, if you have friends, family, invite them over and say, hey, let's have a social hour while in the evening.
You get ice cream after you pull weeds.
Yeah, you could do a social hour, or they can just keep you company while you're out there, because sometimes you're like out there and like, this sucks. And somebody just talking to you and chit-chatting can be fun too. So yeah, if you do need help, obviously I don't think there's any shame in asking for help. I know that sometimes older generations have a hard time doing that, and that makes sense, but there's no shame in it. So I think that I'm encouraging you, giving you some words of encouragement to ask for help when needed, take breaks when needed, drink your water, seek your shade. Yeah. And then maybe you're like a lot of us have a lot of stuff on our minds. Make a list. Maybe you want to lay out a plan. Right now, you're like, I did this year. I want to do something different next year.
Yeah, what is not working?
Yeah, what's not working? What is working? What might you change? And I think another thing is, like, don't compare yourself to others. This happens a lot. You see stuff on social media. You see your neighbors, maybe people that like you work with or go to church
My garden
with.
will never be as nice as blah, blah, blah YouTube channels.
Right. And people say this to me. They'll be like, oh, I killed plants. I bet you never kill plants. And I'm like, I kill plants like it's my job sometimes. So it's a learning experience. Everybody kills plants. There's no shame in that. So just keep in mind, like, be realistic with yourself. Be kind to yourself.
Pick a size that you can manage.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about that?
Well, what do you want me to talk about? I just said it.
What are you saying?
Yeah, if you know that you can manage 800 square feet of raised bed or traditional ground, go for it. If you are only feeling that you can do 2 or 3 4x4 raised beds, that's what you do. You only can do 7 or 10 or 15 grow bags on the patio, porch, or deck, or in the backyard. That's fine. Do that. But do it to the best that you can in order to get the best return on the time in which you've invested and money into it. And there are certain things in which, things aren't going well this year. It's too hot or it's too wet. There's certain variables that you have to remove from the equation because it's beyond your control.
Right. That's definitely for sure. And again, ask for help. If you have heavy bags of soil or need something moved, you can often find somebody to help you. Toss them a couple bucks, whatever it may be, that might make your life easier as well. And
if you don't have somebody who be creative, empty bags out in little buckets until you get to the size in which you can move it.
Make it more manageable for yourself. And then another thing is that if something doesn't work for you that you're growing, like for example, Joy and I talk about this all the time, how we can't grow broccoli. It's okay. You can get it from the farmer's market, whatever. Or maybe you have a neighbor that gardens and they can grow broccoli and they can't grow XYZ. You can do like a little trade, what have you. I think that a lot of people are lacking a sense of community, and we need to get back to that. And it can start with, hey, I see that you have beautiful XYZ and you don't have this. Do you not like this? No, I can't grow this. Oh, I can grow this. Let's trade. And
there are certain people that don't like people, but there's a difference between not liking people and having minimal conversation in order to accomplish a certain goal.
right. Are you referring to me?
No, I'm just saying people think that if you're going to communicate, you have to have this big drawn out
No.
hour conversation on the front yard. 10 minutes most.
Yeah. You can
Go
talk
in, go out, because 90% of the time that person which you're talking to, they don't want you to hang around any longer than you want to hang around.
Right.
Get the information out, boom, 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 done.
and they might have other things they need to attend to.
They have other things.
They do have other things. Yeah. So I think that the biggest takeaways here would be to make it manageable for yourself. Don't be afraid to use what you have access to or can get access to. Use those tools, accessibility options, etc., and take breaks. Give yourself the kindness and grace to do what you need to
If
do.
you're going to work outside tomorrow, whatever, the next day, 2 or 3, properly hydrate. Don't wait until that morning and go, okay, I guess I got to start drinking water because I'm going to go out and start working in an hour. Start hydrating several days before, because you're not aware of how long it takes for your body to get properly hydrated. This is an extreme example, but in racing, in NASCAR, if they're planning like it's going to be 100 degrees outside and 140 in the car, they will start hydrating with electrolytes on Tuesday for the race on Sunday, because they've got these athletic people that know all about this science, and they have a proper regimen of how much liquid they have to drink so frequently, so they're fully hydrated by Sunday, because they're going to lose 5 to 7 pounds in the car by sweating.
Yeah, and it works. It works. Yeah, so just keep in mind.
What also works is Walton's Incorporated.
Yeah, so Walton's, we know you care about where your food comes from. Canning, preserving your fruits and vegetables is great, but what about the meat? At Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat your way to your high standards. You want to make snack sticks that people will actually like, or you'll actually like. You can go to meatgistics.com. It's an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They even have a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's, everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more. That's waltonsinc.com.
When we return, we're going to discuss farmers markets, what you need to know, what you should and shouldn't do. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com.
If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts, Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com.
Are you ready to take control of your home's comfort? With Mr. Cool DIY Direct, empower yourself with our top-notch do-it-yourself cooling and heating solution. Introducing the Mr. Cool 4th Generation Mini Split, the DIY-friendly way to keep your home perfectly comfortable all year round. Our systems come with everything you need for installation, including our patented pre-charge line sets, eliminating the need for expensive professional help. Visit MrCoolDIYDirect.com to learn more and to take the first step towards a cooler, more comfortable home. Don't forget, use promo code GARDEN for a special discount and free nationwide shipping. Mr. Cool DIY Direct. Cool your house, heat your space, all by yourself. Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons, their products will provide you the harvest you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com. Use coupon code ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. That coupon code is ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. Water supply tanks provide BPA-free, long-term safe storage for drinking water. From 35 to 1,500-gallon tanks, Water Supply Tanks has you covered. From preparing for unexpected needs, off-grid property, easy gardening access, and more. For questions and to order, visit watersupplytanks.com and use coupon code GARDENING10 to save 10% off your order. Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Thank you so much for being part of the program today. If you missed any of the coupon codes, you can certainly find them at our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the Money tab at the top of the page, just like our good friends at Honeybee Healthy, offering a coupon code to help bees in your area.
Since 2000, Honeybee Healthy Inc. has helped beekeepers maintain healthy and thriving hives. Attracting pollinators to your garden this year is as simple as hanging a hummingbird feeder with a mixture of sugar water and Honeybee Healthy Original. Don't be alarmed to see birds, bees, and butterflies dining together at the feeder. Pollinators coexist peacefully. Honeybee Healthy Inc. is offering a 10% discount on an 8-ounce bottle of Honeybee Healthy Original to this show's listeners. Enter discount code BGARDEN at checkout. For more information, mixing instructions, and more, visit honeybeehealthy.com. You know what might be at farmers markets?
What is that?
Bees.
Bees, honey?
Yeah, honey.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
farmers markets.
Farmers markets. Some of you may go every week. Some of you may have only gone a couple of times. Maybe you've never gone at all. And you hear about it. You see it on your social media platform. You see signs. You just drive on by. Maybe you go and you just are unaware of some of the information that we're going to provide you.
Absolutely. So if you're like, I didn't even know if there was a farmer's market near me, you can go to your good old search engine on your mobile device or electronic device and type in farmer's market and put your zip code or your city or your municipality, and it'll tell you. And sometimes it'll tell you a number of farmers markets, because if you put your zip code, it'll clue you into ones that are in the area. Maybe you were going for a nice morning walk and happened upon a farmer's market, but they're easy to find usually. And a lot of times people are like, oh, that's on the weekend. I'm busy on the weekends. One of our farmer's markets is on Thursdays, and I think there's another one on Wednesdays. So it's not technically always on the weekend, and you can find them pretty easily. So just keep that in mind. One thing I always want to recommend for people is to bring your own bags or boxes. These farmers, if they are using bags, they're paying for them. And so this will encourage you and them to hopefully keep, prices down if they don't have to purchase bags to give out. I know that seems like pennies on the dollar, but it can save money over time. And if you have reusable bags, like most of us have at this point in our lives, bring them. That's smart to do. What else we got, Joey?
What is, and it's more than just vegetables at a farmer's market.
It is. So you might think, I grow pretty much what I need. But sometimes there's things like I discovered ground cherries. I didn't really know much about ground cherries. I didn't know what I thought they were. And then I went to the farmer's market, and this nice farmer person was like, hey, you should try this. And she let me sample a ground cherry. And I was like, this is delicious. And I found out about ground cherries. But you can also try different things. Maybe there's different looking carrots than what you're used to, or who knows what. And then you can also find out if they take EBT. If you are somebody who utilizes EBT, a lot of these farmers markets will take the EBT, and then they will double your money in a way where they'll give you like farmers market bucks. This is not for all of them, but it is an option. And that way you can kind of stretch your EBT dollars further.
Shop around.
Yeah.
Not everything is, there is certain parameters in which a farmers market association or the group that puts on, or the town and municipality, that you can't sell an apple for, $97. If If you do, you're not selling any apples. But, everybody's got beets and everybody's got green beans and everybody's got tomatoes, and they're all within, a certain area of $1.25 to $1.75. Now, the $1.75, there might be additional value to that $1.75. So it's just like a yard sale. You walk around, you look at everything, and then you go back and kind of go, okay, I want that at that stand. I want that at that stand. Maybe that one over there. Now, the only thing different about a farmer's market and a yard sale is they're probably still going to have the tomatoes the next round you make. If there's that special book or that CD or that DVD you want a yard sale, you better grab it as you're going around because you can always put it back on the table.
It's true. It's true. I scored a craft thing at what's it called? Rummage sale.
See, I'm from Southern Illinois, so we always call them yard sales. You're rummage.
I call them
rummage sales.
Is that what I call them?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, so
you can always put it down. You just can't fight the person that took it up.
I remember I was leaving. I don't know if it was a craft thing, but anyway, I was leaving a rummage sale, and somebody was like, "Oh, I was going to pick that up," and I was the one who got it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, definitely don't put it back down.
But farmers markets are a little different because they have more than one tomato and one pepper. Speaking of that, if you are not really particular about, hey, I need 8 pounds of this and 2 pounds of that, and the farmer's market closes at 7:00 at night, go about 6:15, 6:30. Start walking because these farmers have harvested this product in order to sell today. They are not wanting to take it back home because they're probably going to have to hold on to it and use it themselves or give it away. Because it's not going to be, that ripe tomato is not going to be any good 7 days from now or tomorrow or in 2 days when they go to a different farmer's market. So my point is 6:30, they're closing at 7. Hey, I see you got them for $1.50 a pound. Would you take them for $1? I'll take all you got for $1. Negotiate. They're wanting to go home empty-handed. They'll take a little loss, but they don't want to take that stuff home.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. They do not want to take that stuff home. So that is,
and that's part of the buying in bulk too. You may not need. Here, I went to a farmer's market one time, and they had, what did they have? It was sweet corn, but they called it table corn, or they had some kind of name for it.
I think they called it
table corn, and it was in like one of the printer paper boxes. You get like 12 reams, the big box. So I said, what is table corn? And he said, it's just sweet corn. We've just got too much of it. And I bought 27 ears for $6. I bought the whole box.
You have to set a table when you eat it.
Is that what it is? Yeah. No campfire, no backyard. It's got to be at the table, or it's a violation of some kind of food code. But that's the thing. Obviously don't buy 32 pounds of tomatoes if you only need 3. If you're going to utilize this in a canning means, or in that instance with the sweet corn doesn't go bad that quickly. And if you've got a family that goes through 8 or 10 ears at a setting, you can burn through 27 ears in a couple of meals, and it's a great treat, whether you boil it, bake it, or grill it.
Steam it, whatever you got. Yeah. So talk to the farmers.
And the source.
You can, if you're like, maybe you are unsure about something. You're like, what the heck is this and how do I prepare it? These farmers are going to know. Typically, they're going to possibly have resources. They're going to say, this is my favorite way. You start talking to that farmer. Betty in the corner looking at the beets might be like, you know what? I like to cook this way. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you're having a conversation. So it's fun.
You don't have to be friends with Betty. She's just going to provide you with some very valuable information that you can, life nugget.
Life nugget.
Life nugget of knowledge.
Is that what we're calling these now?
Well, we can call it, yeah. Okay. Betty has a life nugget of knowledge that she's going to pass on to you, and you go home with it, and there you go. You've got something that you can't find anywhere else.
One time I was taking pictures at the farmer's market because I wanted the colorful, pretty vegetables. Uh-huh. And then the farmer was like, can you print those out for me? And then I will give you, I think she gave me ground cherries.
A trade.
Yeah, a trade.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So I came back and I printed them out, and then she gave me ground cherries. I think she said pick something. I picked the ground cherries. So, yeah, so you can, who knows? There's a land of opportunity at the farmer's market. Now, they do sell other things. Joey had mentioned, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like honey. Sometimes it's like random stuff like soap, bug spray. I don't know.
Bread, meat.
Sometimes they have hot food, like food trucks. So, especially some of these larger farmers markets. We bought a wood spoon at one, so
Crafts.
Yeah. So there's like fun stuff.
And these vendors change all the time. You can go to a farmer's market and there'll be, a couple of vendors, and next week they'll be there, but there'll be 4 or 5 different ones that's selling like this bread or this kind of, a meat or ice cream or whatever. It's not necessarily all, garden focused specifically. It's more community gathering focused.
It very much is. Sometimes they even have music, so it's a good time. It's like a little farmer's market gathering.
And if you are in the position that you don't like a lot of chatter, a lot of ambient noise, you can always put earplugs in. You can still hear, but it really muffles, so you're not feeling overwhelmed, because there's some people that have PTSD.
Or just
overstimulated. Oversensory.
Yeah.
That you can still know what's going on, but it muffles it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Makes a big difference.
So then, you can also... sometimes you can pre-order in bulk, especially like not necessarily having a box of corn, but maybe that you want to can some tomatoes and you're not growing tomatoes, and you can talk to the farmer. I did this. We had a bad tomato crop one year and I got a bunch of tomatoes. So that's an option. Ask,
because you don't know, you won't get it if you don't ask, and there's a small chance you may not get it at all, but you're not going to get it definitely if you don't get it, if you don't ask. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah. Speaking of
summer is in full swing, and the Japanese beetles are taking every shot they can at your garden and wreaking havoc on it. But you can stop them.
If you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, but the best part about it is safe to be used around beneficial insects such as ladybugs, butterflies, and bees, and has no water toxicity. That's Beetle Gone at beetlegone.com. You can go to their parent website, phylombioproducts.com, to find out all the products they have. That's PHYLLOM, bioproducts.com, but beetlegone.com. Beetlegone.com is the location. Hang out with us. Author Margot Anne Kelley will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now, 1-800-927-SHOW.
Soil Diva Liquid Microbe Stimulant Spray improves the health of your plants you work hard to grow, stimulates the natural enzymes, and increases beneficial soil bacteria. Go to soildiva.net. Soildiva.net.
Take the guesswork out of composting with the AeroBin 400 or smaller 200 for easy composting. The AeroBin mimics how nature decomposes waste. The AeroBin is easy to use. You prepare your balanced organic waste, just open it up, drop it in, and close. After a short time, fertile compost is produced, which is easily accessed via the lower side door. The thermal insulation in the AeroBin conserves heat, leading to rapid breakdown of the biomass, and works efficiently year-round, even in cooler regions. There is no need to turn the biomass, and it is pet and rodent resistant. It has little odor and can kill annoying weeds and seeds. It is BPA free. The AeroBin 400 or 200 comes with a reservoir at the bottom to collect the leachate. When diluted, makes for great compost tea liquid fertilizer. AeroBin composts kitchen and garden waste quickly. Easy to assemble with no special tools needed. The AeroBin makes composting rewarding and easy. Go to Costco.com to purchase. Are you bugged by bugs? You need Naturally Green Products No More Bugs, environmentally friendly. Made in the USA, No More Bugs is a cedar blend that repels and eliminates mosquitoes, no-see-ums, ticks, fleas, roaches, ants, and more. No More Bugs is safe for you, your pets, and plants. Available online at nomorebugs.net, Amazon, Walmart.com, and the Home Shopping Network.
Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardeners, farms, landscaping, and more. To find our products nearest you, visit blueribbonorganics.com.
Happy 65th anniversary to David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy that you've taken time to be part of the program today. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Margot Anne Kelley is an essayist, nonfiction author, gardener, photographer, visual artist, and resides in Maine. Welcome to the program, Margot.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we go ahead. We want to thank you for taking time, and not only about to educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. We thank you for that.
Oh, I'm delighted to have the chance.
So in your book, Foodtopia, you talk about the Back to Land movement. Please tell us more about that movement, what it entails, and what you found out about it.
Sure. So when I first started researching it, what I thought was that it was based basically in the hippie era. And so basically baby boomers who went back to the land. But as I did more research, I found out that people in the United States went back to the land 5 different times, starting in the 1840s and then going all the way up until the 2010s. And each of the times that they went back to the land, people were doing it because they were interested in creating a sense of greater freedom and greater equality and a better connection to the land. But the thing that I was really surprised by and that connected them all together was that all of them were also really interested in the way that food was central to what they were doing and going back to the land and creating all of those other parts and making them all work together.
Almost like they gotten so far away and kind of like a reset.
Exactly. In fact, what some of them said is that they had to go back to the beginning, and the beginning was their connection to the land.
Oh, that's definitely very interesting. So community is important in your research and writing. What is something you enjoy about the community of growers and gardeners? Any thoughts on how that may have changed post-pandemic?
Yeah, I think that the pandemic actually increased the connection that people felt as growers and gardeners. One of the things that I noticed was that more people were gardening during the pandemic, and more people were contributing their food to food pantries and trying to help each other and trying to encourage other people to be growers. And so it was like the people who already cared about growing and cared about gardening were encouraging everybody else to do the same thing because they knew that it was a source of comfort and a source of solace during the pandemic.
Well, your newest book, your most recent book, A Gardener at the End of the World, what is it about? What can you tell us that may intrigue our listeners to pick up a copy?
It's about 2 big things. First, it's set in 2020, so it's all about the pandemic. But equally importantly, it's about me in the garden during the pandemic and trying to look at how gardens and food and the way that we connect to food has shaped our relationship to the natural world. And then also the flip side of that, how that has also contributed to things like the existence of pandemics. And so what I thought when I started out with that book was that it was going to be just a pure source of comfort. But then I found out that the pandemic and the garden were more intimately connected than I had ever expected.
Well, you in addition to that, you have several other books as well you've written.
I have, yeah.
And can you share a little bit about those as well?
Sure. So almost all the books that I write are about people's relationships to the natural world. And usually I'm looking at them from like a more short-term perspective. I'm looking at them in the 1 year, 50 year, 100-year kind of time frames. But in A Gardener at the End of the World, because I started looking at pandemics, I went all the way back to when we became humans and looking at how our relationship to the natural world evolved as we became agricultural humans, and then also how it evolved as we became people who wanted to have more land and have more access to land. And so we changed the world as we changed. And that's one of the things that's different in A Gardener at the End of the World than in some of the earlier books.
Fantastic. So I saw on your social media you had displayed your garlic scapes as a floral arrangement in a way. I thought that was really cute. Aside from decor, what do you like to use your garlic scapes for?
Well, I think they look really good as a floral arrangement too. Thank you. But the other thing, the big thing that I use them for is making pesto. I don't know if either of you make pesto, but I do. And sometimes, typically when you make pesto, you use garlic and you use a lot of basil, some parsley, some oregano. So what I do is I take the garlics and I skip all of the garlic buds and use the garlic scapes. And then I also take them and use them for like a third of what I would normally use for the basil. And they make a fantastic pesto, which may or may not be appealing to your listeners, but it is so delicious.
Yeah, we have made garlic pesto, and it was very, very garlicky. It was more than what we had anticipated.
It's milder and more even if you use garlic scapes rather than garlic.
Yeah, Joy meant garlic scape pesto.
Yeah.
It was still kind of potent to us, but maybe we have to tweak our recipe a little bit.
Yeah, tweak it.
It was fun, though.
It's fun and it's delicious. Oh, but don't use the white part.
Okay.
That's a really important part. Yeah, don't use the part at the end because that part is the super spiciest part.
That makes sense. So we all know the pandemic has changed a lot of things for many. When you've, done your research, talked to gardeners, artists, what is something that changed for the better and created growth out of the pandemic?
Well, there are a couple things for gardeners. I think that a lot of people during the pandemic kind of hunkered down and they did a better job gardening than they might have done in earlier years because they had the opportunity to spend more time just closely paying attention to their gardener. Here in my community, one of the things that was really beautiful is that a lot of the local gardeners contribute food to our local food bank, and they contributed so much food that we started having a Friday market on top of our regular food pantry that was available for anybody. And even after the pandemic, that's continued. And so one of the things that I really like is the way that the gardeners and the community at large came together and they saw that all of this local food is a wonderful thing to be cherished. And so they're all enjoying it, and the gardeners have continued to try and work that hard to keep that available in the years since the pandemic.
And that was my next point, that we've seen that big spike during the pandemic. And then when, quote unquote, the world got back to normal, a lot of that kind of plateaued or decreased to a certain level because, we don't have to stay at home anymore. We don't need to garden.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I'm sure that's happening in a lot of places. And it's happening here too. I will admit that I am not gardening as carefully this year as I was gardening in 2020 or 2021. But everybody now knows that we can contribute this stuff to the food pantry and that there are plenty of people who want it and who will appreciate having the opportunity to have it. And so some of the things that happened as a part of the pandemic have continued. And those are heartening for me because, of course, as you know, so much about those years was terrible, but there have been a few upsides from it, and that's one of them.
Right. Now, in your book, A Gardener at the End of the World, working through this and writing this book, was there I would never have thought that, or that was, an amazing thing that you learned in the creation of this book?
There was a ton of that. Thank you for asking that question. Yeah, there were so many surprises, and there were so many things that were about the relationship between viruses and seeds, and about how humans and viruses and seeds have all co-evolved, that I never, ever would have expected. But as I spent the time digging into the research, because I had the chance to just be in kind of a solitary situation and doing a ton of research, I learned so much that year. And a lot of it was shocking, to be completely honest. Like, one of the things that I wrote about was the relationship between the Columbus's journeys, and how potatoes moved to the old world, and how some of the germs from the new world moved to the old world. And I hadn't anticipated any of that. So there were some real big surprises that were important discoveries for me.
Interesting.
So, you have obviously your writing experience. How did you get into gardening? Some people start young, some people discover it later in life. How did you get into gardening?
I discovered it sort of in quasi middle age. So I was a college professor, and so I had the summers off, and we moved to Maine. We found a summer house in Maine, and so we moved up here, and I looked around, and all my neighbors were gardeners, and I had never really thought about it. My parents hadn't gardened, my relatives hadn't gardened, but all the people around me did. And the first year that I tried to have a garden, by sheer good luck, I had a great one. It was a great year. I had good soil. I was very lucky. And so I fell in love with it. And I had no idea when I started how hard it was going to be in the long run, because it was just such a perfect first year. But that was 23 years ago, and I've kept at it ever since, and I've learned a ton in the meantime.
Fantastic. Well, we've really appreciated having you on the program. Can you tell us more where to find your work, your books, etc.?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. So I've got a website. It's margotannekelley.com. I'm on Instagram also at Margot Anne Kelley. My publisher is Godine, a wonderful publisher in Boston, Massachusetts, and you can find the books there. And you can also find them on Amazon, and you can probably find them at local bookstores near you, small indie bookstores. And so Foodtopia and A Gardener at the End of the World are the most recent ones. And so they're the ones that right now I'm the most excited about. And I would love for you to have a chance to check them out.
Do you have a favorite book, or is it like children you can't say?
I'm not supposed to say in public.
Okay. Well, Margot, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us, not only Holly and myself, but all of our listeners, and we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's Your Garden Questions and Our Garden Answers. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Your mosquito frustrations are over. Now with Mega Catch, suitable for residential and commercial use. Mega Catch mosquito traps produce a vast array of mosquito-attracted stimuli, including safe CO2, and can attract mosquitoes and other biting insects up to 150 feet away. Easy to use and set up. The Mega Catch is ready to make your outdoor space comfortable and enjoyable at megacatch.com. Use coupon code JOEYB, my name, Joey B, at checkout and receive 20% discount on your entire trap order at megacatch.com.
Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more. Deer Defeat is an all-natural based animal repellent to keep deer and rabbits away from your valuable plants that is odorless after 30 minutes and dries clear. It creates a continuous, invisible shield to protect your plants. Works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Will not clog your sprayer. Apply to your property without environmental damage. You can spray directly onto your plants up to flowering, then apply around your plants to continue protection. No need to reapply. Money back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use coupon code RADIO to save 10% off your order.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com.
Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com. Make hand watering easy and enjoyable with HoseLink retractable hose reels. No more tripping over hoses, kinks, tangles, and avoiding rolling the hose up. With an automatic retractable hose link saves you time and effort manually coiling up your hose, leaving your focus on the things that will bring you joy in your garden. Available in multiple colors and lengths, you'll be sure to find the retractable hose that works for you. To find out more and to buy online via hoselink.com, use coupon code RADIO10 for $10 discount. Mantis tillers, the premium long-lasting gas-powered tillers, are the perfect solution for any garden. This Mantis machine is available with 2 or 4 cycle engines with a 19-inch or 16-inch tilling width. Your DIY companion in your garden and your lawn converts easily for edging, aerating, and more with optional attachments. Find details at mantis.com.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. You got a question, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. If you would like to give us a call, you can do that as well. Toll free, coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. You can leave a message if we can't get to you. We'd also like to know where you're listening from. Either you give us a call or you can send us an email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. What do we have, Holly? Oh, we've got our first question. Yep, is a phone call here. And
Hi, Joey and Holly. My name is Mary, calling from Milwaukee in Zone 5B, and my acorn squash that I planted are coming up nicely. And I just noticed today, for the first time, the big ugly vine borer, wasp or moth or whatever, flying around. So because they're so young, they only just each have maybe 1 or 2 true leaves on them. How big do they need to be, the actual plants, before I can give them the injection of the BT? Because I did purchase some BT just as a precautionary. So should I wait another couple days, or how big do they have to be? Because I don't want to kill the little plants at all. So thank you. I appreciate your show. Thank you both. Bye.
All right, Mary, we thank you for giving us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW. Listening to us on Joy, 1340 AM and 98.7 FM, squash, vine borer, and BT.
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to, before you, even if there was larva in the stem of the plant, if you put BT in there, it's not going to kill the larva. It can prevent it if there's not
cautionary instead of a reactionary.
Yeah. So you want to be precautionary. So what you want to do is you want to look around the base of the plant, and if you see something that looks like sawdust around the base of the plant, that means
somebody's drilled a hole a couple of inches above the ground level, and there's kind of cascade of brown sawdust slime gook.
Yeah, so it looks like, it definitely doesn't look like a normal stem of the plant. And then in that case, that means that the larva are in there, and the moth, laid its eggs or whatever, larva in there. So then you want to do a little surgery. So you take like a razor blade or a very sharp knife, and then you open up the stem and you look for the larva, and then you pull them out. And then the next day you want to kind of look up further up the stem, pull more out if they're in there. Then you could treat that with BT. It's not for, the people who don't get a little, heebie-jeebies with squirmy things.
So if there is no indication that larva has been injected into the stem, you can go ahead and apply the BT into the stem. Is that accurate? If there is indication, it's null, it doesn't work until you remove that larva
Correct.
that's in the stem that's going to kill your plants from the inside out.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, next question here.
So the question is that I have a lot of flowers on my pepper plant. I do have a couple peppers growing. Should I harvest them when they're ready? It still feels early in the season. It's only like a couple, like 1 or 2 on my plants. What do I do?
Well, you can do you can do 2 things. One, you can go ahead and harvest them when they're small like this in order to get them off the plant, so the plant can try to get more girth on the plant before it starts producing peppers. If the peppers plant is already producing flowers and the plant is in a stage of it's green, even though it's small, it looks very healthy, you've got good soil, you've added proper nutrient to the soil, let it be. Let it do its thing. Where you're going to get into trouble is if you let that pepper or peppers stay on the vine indefinitely to where, like on a mature, let's do the example, a mature bell pepper plant comes green. That's an immature pepper. People will harvest them then. But if they wait longer, it'll turn yellow or orange or red. And then once that begins to change, you can go ahead and harvest it. It's when you leave it on for, it's changed, now I'm going to leave it on for another 2 or 3 weeks. That plant is maturing the seeds inside of that pepper. It doesn't care. It'll shut down everything else. As long as it gets a certain amount of mature seeds, then that growing cycle of that plant is done. So you can harvest these as they begin to get to a size that you're happy with, but you don't want to leave them on indefinitely. And there's a certain point, yes, if you're buying a container, don't buy a container of peppers at the garden center that have flowers and peppers on them. If you put them in the ground and there was no flowers or pepper development on that seedling, and now 2, 3, 4 weeks into the growing cycle, they begin to do that, that's fine. Let them be.
Okay, so next question is, my coworkers, they're not exactly gardeners, but they saw like on somewhere that you can kill weeds with vinegar.
Not reliable source. We talked about this last week. Yeah.
Go ahead. So I just was wondering, I keep hearing this. I know that there's certain types of vinegar, but what's the deal?
So this is a homemade weed killer where you use soap, salt, and vinegar in order to spray on your weeds as a broadleaf herbicide. Don't do it. First of all, salt is not good in quantities. The soap is used to, it's a whole thing. Last year we had the Grumpy Gardener, Steve Binder, on, and he explained it in great detail. We spoke about it last week in great detail, that the predominant vinegar in which you're buying at the grocery store is 3 to 5%. Used to be 7, now it's 5, and now they're converting it to 3. Side note, if you're going to pickle and use it as a canning mechanism, it's got to be a minimum of 5%.
Yeah. Yep.
So you got to read the label. So there's a handy canning tip for the week. 5% on your vinegar, not 3%. The vinegar weed killer that you would buy over the counter is between 20, 30, and even 45% vinegar. This 3 to 5% stuff is not going to cut it. The weeds are just going to laugh at you and keep growing. Now, Nat Green Products at natgreenproduct.com, they have a proprietary weed killer that is a natural weed killer that does do a very good job of killing weeds. Now, whether you make your own weed killer with a very strong vinegar, whether it's 20, 30, 45%, or you buy from Nat Green Products, this is not a glyphosate. This is not a one and done application most of the time. This kills you're going to have to burn the leaves a couple of times in order for it to kill it. But it's greatly, in the grand scheme of things, most people will agree that it's less harmful to the environment than using a glyphosate weed killer. So the simple answer is no. It's a terrible thing to try to make your own with the over-the-counter vinegar, salt, and dish soap. Just don't do it.
All right. So my neighbor has these cats. They're free roaming, whatever you want to call them. Sometimes I see them in my garden. I don't think they're messing with anything. I hope that they're maybe chasing bad things out. I don't know. I think I saw one, kind of just running through, but I just want to know if there's something I can do to keep them out just in case they are messing with anything.
Well, if they're using your raised beds or your garden as a litter box, there's not much you can do at this point. Now, there are some things in which will deter them. One is to make sure you keep the soil damp and your plants hydrated, because damp soil will keep rodents from moving into your garden. Make sure your straw bales are moist, not sopping wet. That's going to keep bees and bugs and rats and mice out of your garden. These cats may be coming in because they are predators and they may be seeing that activity. They may just be strolling through. You can also incorporate, if you have small areas that they are specifically targeting, you can get pine cones and put a layer of pine cones where they won't walk on it. They do make cat deterrent products that are safe, but it will keep the cats away. So it's something that you're going to have to look at, see what they're doing, see where they're doing it, see why they're doing it. And many people do not want to eradicate cats because they are benefit in the realm of rodent control. So that is something you're going to have to look at.
Yeah.
People will put forks, upside down plastic forks in their beds, and the cats will just wing through them and kind of lay between the forks. So that's not necessarily always, and it looks terrible, 1,000 forks, plastic forks in your raised bed trying to keep cats out.
Right. And, everybody has their opinion about indoor cats, outdoor cats, outdoor cats, whatever. So I would just try to deter them with like the pine cones or whatever. All right. So the next question is, as I saw this bee bath, bee drinking hydration station on social media, it seemed like a good idea. I'm not really sure. Is it? So in case anybody doesn't know, bee bath or bee hydration station, and this can be for like many insects, is you basically take a shallow dish, put some rocks or pretty stones or what have you in that shallow dish, and then you put water. You don't cover the rocks, you just put water like up to the sides of the rocks, and then it allows for these bees, and you put it somewhere in your garden. They can come and get hydrated. It's helpful, and it is helpful.
Yes. It is effective.
Yeah.
You do want to be aware of how large of a dish that you have the water in, and the concern that would be is the standing water and the potential of mosquito reproduction. It's not, you do have the rocks that are, and the water is halfway up the rocks or the pebbles or the stones, but you do want to, every 2 or 3 days, flip that water over, because we learned that it takes every 4 to 5 days, larvae can reproduce mosquitoes in standing water. So there's nothing wrong with having stagnant water. So there's nothing wrong with having water for your insects or your bee bath. It's if it's stagnant, you want to flip that water out and refill it up every couple of days if it's not raining and agitating that water. So with that being said, we are out of time, and we thank you for yours. It's time for what we learned today on the program. Holly, what did you learn?
I learned that NASCAR drivers pre-hydrate and they lose, what did you say, 5 to 7 pounds?
5 to 7 pounds in some instances. Like the Indy 500, it's a different sport, but they can lose up to 10.
Right.
On that. And I learned that the correlation between pandemic or diseases and seeds, viruses, is much more prevalent than what we maybe had known.
Right.
So there's some correlation there. What we learned today is sponsored by
honeybeehealthy.com. Whether you're a gardener, a bee hobbyist, or a professional beekeeper, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has the products to help you maintain a healthy hive and thriving garden. For more information on how to use your Honey Bee Healthy in your garden, visit honeybeehealthy.com.
Tune into the program next week where we'll be dealing with problems in your garden, as well as creating the soil you've always wanted from starting with what you have. Our guest is author Lee Miller will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.